you think it is now? Good evening and welcome to the public hearing for the March warrant ballot questions. I think we just start now with going over the articles here. For anyone who has any questions, comments, you can just let us know. For the public hearing?
Should we get to ask questions for each article as you go through them?
We can do that, certainly. We choose a moderator?
No.
Not for the public
now,
hearing?
no.
I didn't think so.
That's
Okay.
just for the first time.
Okay. All right, so that will be the first article, choose a moderator at the time of the election. Article 2, to elect by secret ballot 2 select board members, assessors and overseers of the poor for 3-year terms, 1 road commissioner for 2-year term, 2 budget committee members for 3-year terms, 2 planning board members for 3-year terms, 1 RSU 57 director for a 3-year term, 2 library trustees for 3-year terms, 1 trustee of the Limerick Water District for 3-year term, 1 trustee of the Limerick Sewage District for a 3-year term. And I think we went over the names of those last week, who was running. Let's see. Article 3, these are to be vote by secret ballot on the following referendum question. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $1,200 for St. Matthew's Food Pantry? The select board recommended a yes vote. The budget committee recommended a yes vote. Do we have questions or comments on this one? All right. Article 4, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $797 for Life Flight? The select board recommended yes. The budget committee recommended yes. Questions or comments? Article 5, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $500 for the American Red Cross? Select board and budget committee both recommended yes on that as well. Going good so far. Article 6, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $7,500 for lake activities? That's $2,500 for the Lake Arrowhead Conservation Committee, $2,500 for Secocas Lake Association, and $2,500 for the Pickerel Pond Association. Select Board and Budget Committee both recommended yes.
Yes, I'm Dennis Crowley. And on this question, I know it's too late for this year, but what I would like to see is for these organizations to present to the town what kind of progress they're making in the milfoil fight, the Lake Arrowhead Conservation Committee. Because if they're not, if they're going downhill and we're putting all this money in there, then it's for naught. I really would like them to come and say, yes, we've made a 2% gain. That would be something at least anyway. So I don't know if we can, just keep that in mind for the future. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but I would really love to see reports on this money disbursement. Thank you.
Thank you. Going over just the articles so far during this public hearing, and I've read through Article 6, and I can continue if you like. Okay. Article 7, shall the town vote to appropriate all funds received from the snowmobile registrations from the state of Maine for the Limerick Snowmobile Club for the purpose of maintaining the snowmobile trails open for use by the public pursuant to 12 MRSA section 13104. The select board recommended yes, as well as the budget committee. Questions, comments? All right. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to, this is the housekeeping article. Shall I read through all of the points here?
It's been the same forever.
Yep. I think with the exception of last year. Do we have questions or comments on Article 8? Cheryl?
I've had several so
All right. Looks like it's just you.
Or just the ones that I'm,
Yeah, if you want to point out the ones that you have questions on, certainly.
authorizing the board to sell and dispose this, it's come out like double. One is real estate, the other's tax acquired. Aren't they doing that now by public, isn't all of the land that's been acquired by tax, aren't we selling it by auction, not sealed bid?
Do you know which?
Under the new law, we're not allowed to sell anything by auction.
Real estate.
Real estate,
For real estate. Okay, this says public auctions.
Oh, Cheryl, do you mind talking into the mic? I know it's, yeah.
you're
go ahead
asking
and-
about B, correct?
Yes. Better? Okay. Dispose of real estate, sales, public auction or advertised in advance, public notice, conspicuous. We don't do that anymore, do we? Don't we, it goes to the real estate people, it's not auction anymore. So how can we vote on that one?
Well, I guess the only difference would be is if somebody said to us, if somebody deeded us a piece of property and didn't want it anymore, and we didn't take it for taxes, and they're allowing us to do with it whatever we want, then I assume we could auction it off.
This says non-payment of taxes.
It says for, to sell and dispose of any real estate acquired by
Means
the town by any other means.
Other than for non-payment of taxes.
So that would not be, that would just be like if the lookout, if we decide to sell that down the road, that was deeded to you, you could
Correct.
sell that. Okay. The tax acquired ones. Question, bonding. What do the select board have for a bond? I know there's snow plows and all that have to have a bond for, to purchase a bonding security for the town officers. Is that individual ones?
No. These are, we purchase bond, we only bond those people that handle cash. So through MMA, we bond Joanne, she handles cash at the transfer station. The tax collector, the town clerk, and the treasurer. So that's bonding for town officers that handle cash.
Okay. Authorize the select board to, at their discretion to accept lots and deeds. That I personally would feel that it would be something, I mean, we're acquiring a lot of land that we're having to maintain and stuff. Wouldn't that be better to have the townspeople decide whether they want to accept a gift of land?
If you read 30 MRSA 5654, it states that if there are any costs associated with acquiring that land, like the lookout because we had to mow it, then the town has to vote for it.
And that was voted on years ago that they accept that.
So when we accepted that, the town voted on it knowing that, because in the gift, it was specified that it had to be mowed
Yeah.
twice a year or something like that.
So any
So-
land that's donated with that stipulation does go into.
Any
okay.
stipulation, if it costs us, if someone wanted to donate a fire truck, and it was gonna cost us money to register and insure and put gas in, then we would have to get the townspeople to approve it. If somebody wanted to just give us a piece of raw land that would have no stipulations, then we could accept that.
Then we wouldn't have to pay. Okay.
Correct.
I understand authorizing people to use the town offices, you know, the Bricktown Hall and the Grange Hall and everything, but with the costs and everything going up, too late this year, but shouldn't there be something that has, I mean, they give a deposit of $100, but they give it back. We're paying for the heating, the lighting, everything of these buildings, and people get to use them, but we still have to foot the bill. Shouldn't there be a fee that, you know, minimal, just to cover expenses on these buildings?
That has been discussed, but it's probably going to be up to the next board next month to really actually do something about it and set
Yeah,
some
no,
policy
right.
there.
I mean,
but,
it can't be changed this year, but that would be something for future,
yeah,
you know,
that
because
would be a
it's,
policy change that the board could handle, but it probably won't happen
I don't think that what we charge or whether we keep the deposit or not is something that has to be voted on necessarily. We can
No,
change
the
that.
board can change that.
Add
So
it.
that doesn't have to wait a year. If that building use policy was gonna get changed, the board can change it.
That can go in front of a meeting, all right. Okay. The town lots, are you still in the process, since we've been selling with Casey, offering abutters in Lake Arrowhead land for economical prices? Or is that everything that has to go through Casey now?
It has to go through a broker.
Oh, right, okay, a
Yeah.
broker, right, okay. So it says here, to abutters, terms, conditions. Should this be even in here? Sell and dispose town-owned lots, Lake Arrowhead, to abutters of such lots on terms and conditions in the best interest of the town, all sales conducted, MRSA, whatever. Is that even one that exists any longer?
I'm hoping that 36 MRSA 942, 943 is the new law. But I don't know, is it?
It still applies because you have quiet title properties that won't have to be sold by real estate.
That don't have to be, okay.
So it would still apply in the case for a buyer or.
In Lake Arrowhead.
So like the lots that we received through the lawsuit or something, those that we could sell those to an abutter? Okay, so that explains that, thank you.
That one's there. Okay, we're all set until other ones.
Thank you. Any other questions for that article? All right. Article 9, into revenues. Shall the town vote to appropriate $1,126,210 estimated revenues from excise taxes, fees, urban rural improvement program, department revenues, bank interest, property tax interest, and unassigned fund to reduce the 2025 tax commitment? Select Board and Budget Committee both recommend yes. Questions on this one? Article 10,
Hold on a minute. Didn't we add some unassigned money in there?
I think we talked, correct me if I'm wrong, I know we talked about some unassigned money, 65,000, right? But I don't think we voted on it, because I
No.
think we still put that in for,
Okay.
road commissioner,
All right.
roads, okay.
We did talk about it, but they didn't like that idea.
So we kept it.
Yeah, we kept it.
Contingency, shall the town vote to transfer 15,000 from the unassigned account to the contingency account and authorize the municipal officers to utilize as they deem advisable to meet unanticipated expenses and emergencies that occur during the year? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend a yes. Comments, questions? Article 11, question.
Unassigned versus contingency, explain.
Do you mind asking at the mic, Cheryl? Thank you.
There's a lot of accounts, and I'm just trying to.
Yeah,
get all of
yep.
them. Okay, so what usually goes into the unassigned account?
Everything
Everything left over from the
year.
prior year. So we carry an unassigned amount that the taxpayers ask us to hold on to 3 months' worth of expenses. That's where, if you look back where we adhere to the
Housekeeping.
fund balance policy. So the unassigned account is basically money that, over the years, hasn't been spent out of the budget.
From each department?
Everywhere.
Anything that was
It all
budgeted.
Totals out in
So if,
6 departments have money left over.
it all goes back into the unassigned.
Okay, contingency account?
That's the name of this account for the $15,000, that if
Play money, if something
the
comes up.
roof leaked
that-
and we didn't anticipate a roof leak, and we needed some money to fix something quickly, or something we didn't
You
anticipate,
don't have to go in front of the town to vote for that.
up to the $15,000.
Up to the 15. Okay.
tell me what's in the unassigned account? What the balance is?
I can't.
They-
But I asked Alicia the other day to get a printout of what the balances were for last year, and they weren't available. When are they gonna be available?
Don't know. All I can tell you is I had a personal conversation with the town auditor, and they have looked at those numbers preliminarily. And in his estimation, at the end of 2024, his estimation was that we will have somewhere between 2.5 and 2.9 million dollars. That's the best information I can give you based on the numbers he looked at.
Or we don't have anything down concrete in black and white at this point?
No. They are coming in on the 6th and the 7th.
Article 11, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $895,199 for government operations, including select board and municipal support, administrative cost, professional legal, unemployment insurance, workman's compensation, FICA, Medicare, Maine PERS, retirement program, health insurance, earned paid leave, town clerk, tax collector, deputy tax collector, deputy town clerk, elections, municipal building, Bricktown Hall, Grange Hall, Luther Moore, Old Fire Station, building repairs, fuel, utilities, public areas, and cemeteries, and general assistance. The Select Board recommended yes, the Budget Committee recommended no.
David Coleman, Limerick Budget Committee. I have a letter here from the chairman, and I'll read it because it's got a few things in here regarding Article 11. Please read the following into the record on February 3rd, 2025, Article 11, General Government. The Budget Committee recommends a no vote for several reasons. Number one, included in the budget is $10,000 for cost to hire a town manager. Last November, the town voted not to have this position when they voted down the charter. The town has not been formally asked whether they want a town manager select board form of government. Until the legislative body agrees to this type of government, the Budget Committee believes raising $10,000 for that preliminary cost to hire a town manager is not necessary. Number two, included in this budget is a line item for trio payroll to raise $9,500. In last year's warrant, $9,500 was raised and never spent in 2024. And on 12/31/2024, rolled back into the general fund. Based on the information presented to the Budget Committee, the total project cost is $12,500. The Budget Committee voiced the concern stating that the practice was overtaxing the citizens, and the article should only raise the difference needed for the project completion. Raising $9,500 again is not necessary and can be simply transferred from the unassigned monies in the general fund into a capital project with a separate article and the required project balance appropriated. We often hear we need to go back to carrying balances, meaning do away with the present accounting system. The present trio accounting system is not the issue. The way the warrant articles are written is the issue. Or perhaps the way we treat the use of unspent funds previously raised is the issue. Another concern might be how we utilize the trio accounting system to increase undesignated. Past boards were transparent and advised through the warrant how to use unspent funds by either transferring to the capital or reducing tax commitment or both. The accounts recommended were calculated after ensuring the voter-approved reserves were funded. The Budget Committee recommends to return to this transparent practice. Number three, Statute 30 AMRS 2525 states that the municipal officers, school committee members, and the town moderator are the only officials who must be elected. Other officials can either be elected or may be appointed according to a local charter, ordinance, or town meeting vote. Limerick employs a town meeting vote. The municipal officers have little control over the performance and work hours of the offices of the treasurer, tax collector, town clerk. Control of these offices must be exercised by town meeting. The legislative body can do that through warrants and ordinances. The Budget Committee recommended that the legislative body consider options in the future and tighten controls. I'll also go into Article 19 real quick because it's part of this letter that I'm reading for the chairman. Article 19, purchase CEO vehicle. The Budget Committee recommended a no vote. This article is use the CEO fees to purchase an existing CEO's personal use truck. The Budget Committee believes that this type of purchase should be a capital project and disclose all costs related to this purchase, not just the purchase price. The Budget Committee believes that it is the best when the municipal officials commit to examining the decisions that they make and consider their full impact. In conclusion, the Budget Committee made the best recommendation that could be made with the information presented to them by the department heads and elected officials. The Budget Committee implemented a new schedule this year. It worked well, allowing time for more analysis. 2 years ago, we implemented a structured budget process involving all department heads, and the Select Board have all done well by employing it. There are legitimate financial management challenges for our town. Budgeting has become increasingly complex, and with large projects and new activities, that means that more accounting funds to track, report, and budget for. This work falls on the office of the Select Board and the Treasurer. The Budget Committee recommends that the town require our officials to produce timely financial statements, employ consistent naming conventions, and maintain a stable and comprehensive format for reporting presentations. The Select Board have posted the warrant on the town website and the budget worksheet guide that contains the detailed information. We hope you'll review it before you cast your vote. Thank you, Stephanie Bishop, Budget Committee Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis Crowley again. First question, simple on Article 11 still. All the town buildings seem to be mentioned here except for the new fire station. As far as maintenance, is that included somewhere else, or is that?
That's part of their own budget.
That would be in the, yeah.
My next question would be, I guess, in line with this Budget Committee recommendation of no, if this article was voted no, voted down in the election, what is the process to get this back into another election, and what happens? I guess this is not pertinent to this particular question, but I don't know if it's a good time to talk about this now before we get into all of these where some articles may get voted no, and what happens in the process to get them reactivated and
Well,
so
it
on.
would take a special town meeting to reintroduce this for a vote, whether it was presented a different way or the same way, just for, to get this down, or possibly even break some of these out and put them separate for a special town meeting.
Okay, and that would be fairly quick, I would imagine.
Should be.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Got a question from Steve.
I watched the Budget Committee meetings, and I believe the meeting before this one, where they had the no vote, they were asked if they had any other things that they wanted to discuss, and there was no response from them. I thought that it was bad to have it come up, the night that they had to vote, whether they were going to vote yes or no. These things should have been ironed out before the warrant was nailed down. That's just my honest opinion.
I'd like to add to Dennis's comment about balances or whatever I mentioned earlier here. How did you even arrive at a budget for this year when we don't know what the exact amounts were or balances were in any of the departments? How was this done? Because I bet you I asked 12 times, asked you folks if you had a balance sheet in front of you, with balances for every one of those departments, multiple weeks, and nothing ever got shown. Nothing ever come up about it. Now, why isn't this being done? Because as far as I'm concerned, this is useless unless we know what the balances were, how much money these departments have spent in the past year in order to make up a budget. Some may need more money, some may need to be cut. And this
Last week,
zero budgeting
We did
stinks.
we did the best we could with the information we had. And we had poor information to deal with.
Our old system, where we had carried balances, worked the best. Ever since we've gone to the zero budgeting, there's been problems. We need to go back to that old system.
This has been a problem for several years. I'm just gonna take the transfer station, for instance. We collected $67,199. That was what our revenues were for the transfer station. And if you look up under Article 9, you'll see that $66,000 of that is being used to offset this year's taxes. Every department has been done the same way. So it's 6 of one or half a dozen of the other. You can either roll over the balances at the end of the year, or you can do it this way. This was changed 10, 12 years ago. The auditors at the time said that they preferred this method, and that's what we went with. But all the balances that these departments have at the end is rolled over, and then we offset that with these, the $1,126,000. So
Well, not, I mean, that's,
it's not all of it, I realize
that's,
that.
I mean, your $66,000, you're estimating that's what's gonna come in 2025. It has nothing to do with the $67,000 that came in last year. Now, that $67,000 gets rolled in, I understand that, but you're a unique department with a large revenue budget, okay? A lot of departments don't have that revenue budget, that all that
Most
they,
departments exceed,
what would roll over for them is anything they didn't spend. Correct, yeah.
most departments exceed what they're supposed to bring in.
The revenue ones seem to, yes, no question.
I got a comment and a question. I think we need to go back to the way we used to do it, like everybody says. It's more transparent. That money is in there. The people voted to appropriate the money to spend for that particular activity. So if it rolls over, it's still gonna be there. The auditors don't tell us how to keep our books. They just need to make sure the books are kept correctly and the money is spent where it goes. We're their customer. They shouldn't tell us how to keep our books. My question is, if there's no account balances, is there a problem in the treasurer's office? Was there a problem in the changeover? I can't fathom how we're in this mess, but we don't know what we have for money.
Well, so let's be clear. There has been struggles in the treasurer's office. I think we've talked about it for months, okay? There have been struggles in the treasurer's office, whether it's from the transition, whether it's from, somebody getting in, and there really wasn't a transition, to be honest. There was, Laura's gone today, Julie's in tomorrow, okay? And so there's a lot of things that the new treasurer has to learn. The learning curve has taken a little bit longer than I think we all hoped. There's definitely some errors in the posting of transactions and in the accounts. But even after everybody has looked at it, I want everybody to be clear, there is absolutely no question that there's any money missing or there shouldn't be. We have total balances that we're dealing with, and the total balances line up. there are a lot of, as the assessor, the auditor said here, well, he told us several weeks ago that there is several $1 million worth of corrections that need to be made, okay? We have a lot of accounts, bills would come through, and somebody may have done some work that the treasurer thought was done at the transfer station, and maybe it was done out on a road, and by mistake, the wrong code was put in. So now the transfer station looks like they spent more money than they did. So those accounts need to be gone through, and corrections need to be made. And that's the hope that when the treasurer comes in, when the auditor comes in, that's where they're gonna start, is to clean up and get, 2024 straightened out.
I mean, in all fairness to the new treasurer coming in, for years, everybody that held a town clerk, tax collector, or treasurer, they had a deputy. When they got done in that position, the deputy always assumed that position, so they hit the ground running. But when department heads submit their bills and they tell how they have to be paid and they're not, I can't fathom how we owe some companies that did services for the town in August, they haven't been paid yet, and some of those companies respond here on emergency situations. Next time we have an emergency, they're just gonna kinda tell us, sorry, didn't pay your bill in time. I see no excuse for that, I really don't. And you should appreciate that, you're in business, you know what it is. If you don't pay your bills,
We all
people
do, I
don't.
think everybody does. It's part of the struggle that we've talked about. When you get an elected treasurer, why are you shaking your head? Got nothing to do with an elected treasurer? Okay. Well, if you are hiring a person, you can vet them. You can check out their credentials. You can check out their past work history. You can interview them, and you can pick from the best list of candidates. The way we elect a person, you have to be 18 years old and be a resident of the state of Maine. So we can say what we want. I mean, we are having issues in that office with the person that was elected. There is struggles going on. Now, that person's elected. We don't have power over that person. We can't tell them when, where, why, and what to do. Okay? We made more than one suggestion to try to get some help, and the suggestions went to deaf ears.
So you can't direct them as to what bills they should pay? I mean, if it's costing us money, money's tight, it's gonna get even tighter,
Well, look, we made some directions,
and it didn't happen.
and it still didn't happen.
So,
What's that? So if, somebody has, if somebody believes that is the approach that needs to be taken, then that's what they need to do.
you guys ought to make that public, because you're left like you're holding the bag, and it's not all on you, unfortunately. I mean, wasn't there a pretty big payment not made on time, and it cost us
We should
a
focus back
substantial
on
amount of
the
money?
warrant articles.
It has to come out, it's
I think
ridiculous.
this goes against
You know,
our,
Didn't we get charged an extra
Hearing.
$8,000+ in interest because the payment, the federal money we worked so hard to get, that everybody said we weren't gonna, and we got it, and it came in, and it wasn't made in time, and we had to pay an extra $8,000 in interest? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And then you look at the article, there's a big pay raise for that position. That doesn't cut it, really. And then you're right back to the articles that everybody else spoke about. If that doesn't get funded, You have to have a special town meeting to take care of that. You have to have a special town meeting to take care of the town because there's a squibble over something. I think we need to be a little more transparent. That's why we need to carry, you know, the unexpended balance over, and people know where it goes, and we gotta get a handle as to how the bills are paid. I'm sorry, that, I think that $8,000.
I don't disagree with you. I do disagree with carrying balances, because we wouldn't have the fire station we have right now if we had that same carrying balances. Okay?
Why?
Because for years, the undesignated money was put aside to where we were able to grab over $1 million of undesignated funds, savings that were put away for 10-plus years that was available to put towards that building.
If you get a plan together of what you want to do in the buildings, you can do that. We have, that between the work that was done on the water and sewer district and the fire station, those were two projects that somebody had a game plan as to what they want to do. The rest of the buildings, there's no game plan as to how to take care of them, what to do, or anything. That's the problem. My opinion.
Carrying balances doesn't help that, but there is a plan in place for most of the buildings. I mean,
Yes, there is
there's-
a building
there's a
committee
building committee
that
that
is
it's-
making some recommendations that have ended up
Start
on the
taking a
warrant.
look at this building, you better start taking a look at the old town hall, look at the roof on it.
We asked the people to put aside money last year for this building for painting, and they voted it down. We put a plan together and said, we're gonna put together X amount of dollars for 3 to 5 years to paint this building, because we know at some point, painting or siding repairs. The people voted no.
Well, they better take a look at it, because this place needs some work. It does.
Helps us at the municipal office, it does, I tell you.
When did the red flag go up that we had a problem? I mean, we're almost a year into this. You know, why did it go so long before we said, hey, we got a serious problem going on here? Either you bring the lawyer in, the accountant in, or whatever, it had to be straightened out.
I think,
It's, I mean, wait until now, and as far as I'm concerned, this is a mess.
you gonna hang out? I know.
On this article, can you guys put on the town webpage the reason the budget committee, what was read here, their reason for voting no? It should be. It's the voters ought to know why the budget committee, I know Dave tried to explain it, but there was a lot of reading. There was stuff that really wasn't pertinent to that, but the reasons that they had, the people ought to know, the people are voting. And I'll remind you, in the last couple of years, the voters have pretty much voted along the lines that the budget committee has recommended. So I think it's pertinent that part of that, whatever you want to.
So would you like me to write that it was just 1% of the budget? That was why they voted it down? Or because it was split, what would be sufficient?
What Dave read on that part should be in there, their reasoning for that, this article. I mean, there was some stuff after that, didn't have to do with it, but I think that's, we've fought over this. I've been on the budget committee, 15 years, and we've fought about, we all said, we have to agree or we won't put, and there was one year where they wouldn't put the no vote. All right, and that's not right. The people elect the budget committee. They respect their work and their duty, and I think tonight, seeing all the confusion with all this stuff going on, that no vote, that's the first one. Maybe there's some other ones coming up.
He mentioned it in the letter when he read it, Article 19, so they're both
So
a no
that
vote.
stuff
And
should be in there for the people to see.
Or they're very clear on the last 2 budget meetings, too.
Oh, yeah, so we're gonna tell the people to go backtrack through the meetings that you
Well,
can't
no,
hear, no volume, wasn't on, it's on later. All right, I'm just saying, that's what it should be. And as far as the transfer with the treasurer there, I think the budget committee, last year tried to put some money aside so that somebody else, as the transfer, would go smoothly. I don't know if the money ever got put in or what happened with it. There's a month or two.
There was money in last year's,
Okay.
there was money in
In the budget.
last year's budget to pay the outgoing treasurer to spend some time with the incoming treasurer.
Orientate to what.
The
was going
incoming
on.
treasurer did not reach out for that help.
All right. But I think you've also hit it on the nail that the fact is, and I've talked about it at some of the selectmen's meetings, there is no money missing, it's misplaced. Okay, I mean, that's got to be clear to the people watching that, that's all you're hearing is, 5 million, 6 million, that's swindled or whatever, and that's not the case. The case is.
No, who's saying anything
it's a-
swindled? That's,
that's
first
all-
person to use the word swindle is you just right now.
No, you go around. People are wondering why. John, you announced it. We had all this stuff in one meeting, and I had to get up and say, so is it actually missing, not there, or misplaced? It was misplaced. So,
Nothing's been misplaced. Nothing's been misplaced. All the money is exactly where it's supposed to be. Our dollars are where they're supposed to be.
right.
The accounting is messed up, okay?
The
If-
from the switch over?
For a layman's term, if you make a mistake in your checkbook register, doesn't mean the money's there or not there. Okay, that's where we're at. Our registers are off. However, there's 100% confidence that every penny is where it's supposed to be.
Right. And that's the key thing right now, straightening out where it is.
Right, we got to figure out which bucket things go in. That's right. And that's what's
You
being, that's what's being
mentioned the
worked
thing
on.
about down at the dump. Well, if the treasurer said the money that we paid out for brush came out of the highway department, because the brush is really highway department, but it was taken out of that, that's something that's common that somebody wouldn't know the difference, because we, right, but you know what I'm saying? That can mess up an account.
Yeah,
I mean, the
there's-
key thing here is there is no money missing. All our money is there.
Correct.
And that should put people more at ease.
Okay.
Just a word about carrying balances. It's not the TRIO accounting system as to whether it is carrying balances or not. It's up to the way you write the articles. And Joanne Andrews writes articles to carry balances. She's been very successful at it, I think even last year with the compactor. So to say throw out a TRIO, it's the way you employ TRIO. It's how you work the numbers. It's how you end up writing the article. So our new selectmen, take a lesson in writing new articles or whatever if you want to carry balances. Thank you.
Article 12. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $106,017 for the Treasurer's Department for the ensuing year? The Select Board recommends a yes. The Budget Committee recommends a yes. Conversation on that?
I'd like to, the Budget Committee asked and agreed along with the selectmen that this be pulled out because they had some questions on the meeting before their last meeting. And a lot of this was around a increase in salary for the treasurer. However, the next meeting, after they asked for it to be pulled out, they voted yes for it. So I don't know why it was asked to be pulled out. I'm all for pulling it out. I was okay with that, but they wanted it pulled out, and then, once it was pulled out, voted yes.
Yeah, in that discussion, the idea or the thought was if we were to separate that out, if that was something that folks were going to vote against in Article 11, that Article 11 would fail. So they had it separated out. And then later on, when discussing 11, after we made 12, they voted no for 11. So,
They could have voted no for 12 also,
At the time of the conversation, it sounds
but
like
they
they
opted
just
not
had.
to.
yeah, there was discussion around TRIO. I do remember that. As far as some of the other discussion on why 11 failed, I wasn't able to vote on it because I'm paid through that as a moderator and an election clerk. But The reason why that was separated out was in order to keep those two completely separate, so that the townspeople could vote on whether or not they wanted to pass 11 and/or 12.
All right.
Dee Dee, you got somebody in the back.
Thank you. Dee Dee.
Somebody asked me at the window the other day, 106,017, they thought it was for her pay. This is not, this is her total budget. She was asking for what she was making when she left Waterboro. I keep on hearing that she's making all kinds of mistakes. Well, the mistakes, they're not all on her. This was happening before. As you guys go on to reading more of these articles, you're going to see that there needs to be a lot of help with the accounts, the account names that you guys are naming these. They're very, very close. There are many of them. I can see why things are getting so messed up. I was helping Laura when Laura was here. I backed off because I didn't want to mess her up. She didn't understand where half of these went because they're so similar. There's got to be fewer accounts. It's just, it is getting messed up. It really is. This is not all on Julie. So please, when you look at her budget, don't think that she is totally messing up, because this is not all on her.
Thanks, Dee Dee. That was a good one. And I'll just reiterate what I've said at the last 4 or 5 selectmen's meetings. I think it's really poor that we signaled out one department. All right? And all the years in the budget committee, we had them all broken down. Judy, Dee Dee, everything, and that's fine. Stan, everything else. Now we lumped them all together. All right? And that's because we don't have town meeting, and you can shove it up my throat saying that's what we wanted, because more people vote for everything. But I argued about this, pulling this out, isolating that, really kind of discrimination against one department in the town. Really is.
Well, we have a system where we have elected officials that put forth their own budget. What's that?
Would you just stop referring to election officials?
Elected officials?
Every department appointed or elected.
Correct. But if Joanne comes to us with a request for a significant raise in pay, we can question that, and she is an employee of the town. If the elected officials do it, we don't have that right and that authority. That's all it's saying. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I am?
Yeah.
Okay.
We recommend what we want for an hour or salary, whatever, just like every department head hired, appointed, however they're done. We're no different. The townspeople are gonna vote on hours just as well as they would with everybody else. The townspeople say, no, you're not gonna get your 60,000 or whatever for salary, then I'm not gonna get the 60,000. So like I said, the only thing difference with being elected is, again, people vote for what they wanna vote for. I'm not saying that, again, they could elect with the treasurer this last time. Nobody ran for the treasurer except that one person. Same thing could happen in this office. They could vote us out and vote somebody else in if they're elected. And that when you're voting in, well, hopefully they know how to do, again, they're an agent of the state. That's what we are. We're an agent of the state, and we're employees of the town, salary no matter how you do it. So to sit here and keep comparing elected, only, like I said, we have laws to follow. The state says how much excise tax we can charge. The state says what the registration fees or how you're gonna process a vital statistic, not the Board of Selectmen and not the town of Limerick. So don't make no difference. Again, only thing I have issues with is, like you said, if you hire someone, okay, instead of having them elected, which is fine, I don't care, go ahead and hire your officials. But the problem is, when they get in here, if they're not certified with the state, they're gonna do just certain things here, they're gonna have to go to another town where those clerks are certified to collect the rest of the fees.
You're absolutely,
So it's do or don't.
let's say you decide you don't want to run. And I decide I want to run for your job. I know nothing about it.
Hope the townspeople, if somebody else was running against you that did know something about it, would vote for the one that knew something about it.
One person that ran for the treasurers, right? We're not having people clamor for these positions. I could win, and I could know zero about that office. So could anybody else in this room. Now, if we're hiring that person, we can say, are you certified with the state? Do you have all the certifications and knowledge that you need? Right? We could ask that question first.
You can put that in the job description for when you're elected also.
No, you can put it in the job description all you want, but that doesn't stop anybody from running.
They have to. In the job description of each one of them positions, of the town clerk, a tax collector, you can talk to Maine Municipal, because they said it's never been done before. But on your nomination papers, this is what we require. If you don't have it, you can't take out the you can take out papers, but you can't, if you get in, you're no good. Because again, you want certified on them jobs.
Have we ever done that in a nomination paper?
But again, let's talk about the treasurer thing again also. No, we haven't, but we can. You can vote on it that way. But with this treasurer thing, who tells her what to pay?
Who tells her what to pay?
Who tells the treasurer you gotta pay these bills?
She presents them to us, and we approve them for payment.
Right, so aren't you keeping track of what she's paying out and to whom she's paying it to?
What if she puts it in a pile in her office and it never comes to us? We don't,
sign that warrant if you don't know what it is.
no, that's not what we're saying. There was a company that worked on the garage door up at the fire station. They presented a bill. We don't know that bill came in. It never got paid. How are we to track that? Should we come in to see all the bills before she gets them?
I would hope so.
So we as a board should be receiving all the bills for the town and looking at them.
Again, what bills come in, she's supposed to present them to you. Something got
But
misplaced.
what if she doesn't?
Then it's up to you to find out why. When they come to you and say, why didn't we get paid? Then you ask her, why didn't you submit the bill for the warrant?
Okay? I'm,
In order to know what the balance is, I think I would have found out when you, all year long, you should be coming in here checking to see what the heck the balance is in each account.
we would get reports all year long, and none of the numbers were accurate. We got emails. I can give you every report she sent to us. She would send reports. They're not accurate.
Like I said, I think all of it's bad management.
To answer Judy's question, the department head that submitted the bill should be saying, should be getting a report at the end of each month, like the library does, and I look through, and if my bill hasn't been paid, I'll go to her and I'll say, my bill hasn't been paid. So it goes back to the department head. If the department head sees something was taken out of transfer station, paid out of the library, I'm gonna go say, hey. So it goes back to the department head. They're not keeping track.
So you get a report back of everything that was paid?
Yes. I sit down every month and I look. I compare my bills that I turned in to what's been paid. Simple.
First, sorry, Gail.
Can you tell us what the process is when you're getting bills in, from the time you open up that envelope? How is that handled?
I guess it would depend on what bill it is and who it's for. So if it's a bill for the fire department, Vinnie would get it. Or if it's a bill for the transfer station, Joanne would get it. They should be coding them to the account. They code them to the account they want them to come out of. They okay it to be paid, and it goes to the treasurer. If it's an electric bill for the streetlights, that goes right to the treasurer.
You?
First,
The bills don't come through this office, through your office?
Before they're paid?
Right.
No.
Once
Well,
the
when they're on the
checks are
warrant, they
written,
do.
Yes.
So we get the warrant, and the warrant has a copy of the bill and everything that was paid. We look through them. If we have a question, we question it. If a bill came in for a garage door that we have no knowledge of and we don't see it in a warrant, we wouldn't know that it's supposed to be paid. If there was an electric bill missed, we wouldn't know if it came in or not. We don't get the bills before anybody else.
It should be coming right into your office, period.
And through who and where? So,
Department heads can come in and look at those bills.
They
and
do.
say, okay, but just what you're saying, if they go to the department first, it's not right.
where should they go first?
Your office. You're
To-
the one that's charged of
To
it.
do what with?
Review them when they come in.
We review it when we see it to be paid. So we should review it before the department head? Is that what you're saying?
I've seen times when the bills come in and we didn't even authorize payment on something.
What do you mean bills came in that you didn't, you mean,
Something was bought years ago, and I picked up on it, it was $2,500. It was authorized by a committee, but we didn't know anything about it until the bill came in.
so how did, I don't, okay.
That
Shame on you for not
department-
knowing it didn't come in.
that
I mean,
department
why
was
didn't you know it was,
lucky.
why didn't you know it was coming in back then? I mean, that's what you're telling us, we should, I mean, we're supposed to be clairvoyant and have a crystal ball of what's coming in, but the same thing happened to you and it's somebody else's fault.
When it all comes down to it, the treasurer, any treasurer, cannot pay a bill without you guys signing off on it. That's it. That's how it's supposed to work. If it's not working, change it.
What if she loses a bill? Is that, how do we change that?
It's human error.
Those things, that's
It can
correct.
be rectified, correct?
When they find the
Get
bill.
another bill,
and pay it.
you guys sign it, she pays it, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. So what's the issue?
I don't know, ask the people that have questioned it.
You're the one who brought it up.
I didn't bring it up.
You did. I'm going off track.
I get copies of EcoMaine bills. I get 3 separate bills. One is for recycling, one is for household waste, and one is for demolition. They're clearly marked, recycling, demo, household waste. I've got one on my transfer station budget for 11,000 some odd dollars. Clearly says household waste. It was taken out of my transfer station budget. An $11,000 bill in 1 month is really going to raise the devil with my budget. So I trot down and I tell the treasurer that she made a mistake and she changes it. But there's a lot of transactions that have happened that even the department heads don't realize until they go through their year-end budget. I've got one employee in this town that's been paid $4,400 worth of salaries out of my budget. I've been down there 4 times with 4 separate packets of mistakes. And you shouldn't have to do that. I mean, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work that you have to keep running down and fixing other people's mistakes.
I might mention, one thing that's been discussed is a purchase order system.
That just started, the purchase
Yeah,
order
that would,
system.
that'll take care of a lot of those
That'll take
issues
care of a
because
lot of
it'll.
it, especially
it'll-
the little things.
Right, it'll keep a nice, transparent flow of, operations going, so, you know.
But I have to authorize a bill to be paid,
Mhm.
not the selectmen. I know if that bill needs to be paid. They wouldn't know it. But they know if it's
Well, for
on the
going
warrant,
through,
that it's been authorized.
reviewing and signing.
They
yes.
know if it's on the warrant, that it's been
Yeah,
authorized
that
by the department
you've signed off,
head.
yeah, the department head has signed off on it, and it's been authorized.
They can't approve a bill if they looking at a bill. Well, how are they supposed to know? That's ridiculous.
All right, Gail.
Last July, this was recognized. And 4 of us got together. That included the treasurer. And a purchasing system, a manual purchasing system was written. It was presented to the Budget Committee. They vetted it. It was presented to the Select Board. They vetted it. And in November, it was voted that it would go into effect on January 1st. It's a fledgling system right now, okay, because a lot of behaviors have to change. But it's the typical 3-way match. You have an invoice, you have a purchase order, and you have a receipt. They have to match. Then it goes on the warrant. And the treasurer is doing that 3-way match. So if it doesn't match, it has to go back to the person who wrote the purchase order for an explanation, because on the purchase order is the expense account coming straight from their budget. Okay? So I would suggest that we have a nice training session after March 14th, so all the new players can understand our new little system that we think might remedy a great part of this problem. Not all of it, but if you read the many pages of this SOP, it covers most things. If we've missed something, it's just an SOP. Add it and get it straightened out. So I think good things are in motion, hopefully. Thank you.
All right. Article 13. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $219,070 for the Code Enforcement, Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, and Tax Assessing for the ensuing year? The Select Board and the Budget Committee both recommend yes. Any comments? Article 14, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $1,725,349 for the operations of Public Works for the ensuing year? The Select Board and the Budget Committee both recommend yes.
Another one of my pet peeves. Why do we have the transfer station, the highway department, paving and everything, which in the past has been separate articles? Well, now, if Joanne wants something down the transfer station and that bottom figure is more than what some people think we should be paying, who's gonna get hurt?
Right. The rest.
She's gonna. If you have separate articles, now I know why this is written, because you want to keep the number of articles down. The trouble is, this isn't transparent. These should be all separate articles. So each one of those departments stands on their own merits. So one's not picking up the tab for the other. Because there's I feel the way this is going right now, some of these departments could miss out on their money just because they're grouped with somebody else. They're gonna stand separate.
Other comments on Article 14? Article 15, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $960,900 for the operations of public safety for the ensuing year? Good. Article 16, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $139,974 for the operations of community services for the ensuing year? Article 17, shall the town vote to transfer $30,000 from the Capital Project Reserve Account to the Capital Project Reserve Account for SCBA devices for the fire department? And I apologize on the last couple I've missed. Both the select board and the budget committee recommend a yes vote. Comments on this, Cheryl?
Those accounts again, I just need an explanation.
Gotcha.
Transferred from capital project reserve account
Yes.
to capital project reserve account. They're identical.
Except it's capital project reserve account for SCBA is the name of the SCBA account. So it is a different
It's kind of like a
name on the
sub-account.
account.
Okay, so the first one, let's talk about the first one.
Yep.
What goes in there?
That is the funds for our property sales, is that, I've got that right? In the housekeeping articles, it indicates that that's where the money goes.
And the other one, the scuba, is the fire department.
For that one specific item, SCBA devices. So what we're trying to
They
do.
don't have a regular, okay, so that's just, okay.
Would
It is, yeah.
trying to build up enough money to buy when they expire, correct, Vinnie? Is that-
Right,
They
yeah,
will
we've voted
expire,
on that
yeah.
before, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's just the identical account names that,
And I can appreciate the confusion there. It is separate, and it is, the reason it's labeled that is because it is a capital project.
yeah, we voted on it before.
Yep.
So I just want to speak on that quickly, and I'm glad Cheryl brought it up. This has been on the ballot 3 times. The first time we voted in $30,000 as part of the replacement of the SCBA devices and the air cylinders. Last 2 times, the Budget Committee did not support this question. It was based on, along the lines of what Cheryl was talking about, I believe. It was a question of where the money was coming from, not a question of
Whether we need
using the money wisely. So just a quick history on the SCBA devices, they have about a 20-year lifespan. We're getting to the end of that lifespan. The plan was to, rather than come to the people and say, hey, we need $150,000, we need to replace SCBA's, the plan was to set aside money like you would do at home, set some money aside when you want to buy something. So when the time comes, we have that money sitting there. So we're a little behind the curve with the 2 votes that got voted down. The end of their usefulness is coming. It's determined by the NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association. They deem when we have to replace certain items, turnout gear, anything that's personal protective equipment. The NFPA tells us what that lifespan is. Our firefighter gear that we purchased a bunch of in the last couple of years, you guys supported that. That's a 10-year lifespan. These air packs are 20, or 4 cycles of NFPA standards. And the 4th standard is due anytime. It was actually due in 2023. Every 5 years, they update that. 2023 was when it was expected. It hasn't come out yet. Sometimes they're delayed because of technology, and they got to test this equipment and prove that it's, meets the standard. So we do need to start setting some of that money aside, because we did purchase the air cylinders with that first $30,000 we got. So we did replace the air cylinders themselves, the actual harness with the air regulators and that type of thing. So it is coming due, so we appreciate your support. Thank you.
So capital project reserve account, that's one big account, correct? Then you have all these subcategories underneath it, that how you do it?
I don't know the
I
account.
know you
of
have,
it. I know that it's.
we've always talked about, to plan ahead for some big projects. So you set up a capital project reserve account for the rec department. Then we have a capital project reserve account for fire department. Then we have another capital project, or is this all just one big capital project?
The capital project reserve account is one big account for the entire town.
Okay,
So if a month from now, the boiler goes in this building, we could have a town meeting and say, can we take from the capital project reserve account to replace the boiler?
okay.
That's one big pot of money that can be used anywhere in the town with voter approval. When we set up certain specific reserve accounts, like you're gonna see the next one is for paving of this building. That's a capital project reserve account for paving only.
but what the money stays in that capital project reserve account.
Not
and
the
then
big
when
one.
you paid it,
It should get, this is where we run into some trouble.
I,
This,
granted,
this is where we,
100%.
if you look at our town report and the auditor's report, okay? Drives me nuts, due to other funds.
Both of the treasurers have said the same
Due
thing.
to other funds,
It's too
okay?
many.
But what should happen is, if we vote on this on March 14th, or whatever the day is, the next time the treasurer is in, they should go through this warrant, and they should say, our big capital reserve account has $500,000 in it. I am immediately going to move $30,000 out of there to the SCBA account, because that was voted on. So now we have 470 in the big one, and the little ones get funded as they need. Part of the problem has been is sometimes it hasn't got moved till the money is spent, okay? There is, sometimes we say up to a certain amount of money. So if we say up to, then the treasurer can transfer the $30,000, and if we spend 27, they can put 3,000 back.
I understand how it works.
Yeah.
Again, I'm asking you. So we're gonna take 30,000 from the capital project reserve account, and then we're gonna set another work, because the article says to purchase the CBA.
For SCBA,
That
yes.
account's already set up.
That account is already set up where? In another capital project reserve?
It is its
It has
own
its own account.
It's listed
No, it doesn't. Capital project reserve.
for SCBA.
It's,
That's the name of the
It's-
account.
it's,
Taking it out, you know, line item in the capital project reserve that we voted to take the 30,000 is gonna be used for the SCBA. This can be under the capital project reserve whole big account. Or
I
you
guess-
setting it up another account for
It's
the
it's a,
SCBA.
it's a separate account for SCBA, not a separate bank account, not a separate money account. I know,
Bank account,
it's just a
almost in
separate.
accounting.
Yes, accounting, yes.
Like I said, I know over the years, Laura has been upset, and I don't blame her, because we had this, first you had a capital project reserve set up just for the rec department. You had one set up, they was talking about for fire station or for revitalization committee. So you got all these little things. The vault was another one. We had 14,000 we voted town meeting years ago to put aside for the vault. It's gone. Nobody knows it went. Nobody's using it, so let's just transfer it out of that capital project reserve and put it somewhere else.
Well, it can't get transferred without a vote of the people.
But what I'm saying is to keep track of it, John. You got,
This is not, when, this
You're
is,
saying-
we deal with $7 million a year. It's not a lot of money. Okay, it's not a lot of money in the scheme of things, okay? And it should not be difficult for a seasoned treasurer to be able to track these accounts
the way
and know
these
how much is in
articles
them.
are written, it is, because I read this thing and the next one 10 times over. You're saying to transfer 30,000 from the capital project reserve account to the capital project reserve account.
For paving.
So you're transferring from the account back into the account for that payment?
No, it's a
the
separate
name of
account.
the other
It's just- That's the
account.
name of the other account.
It being confusing makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes, and for the paving, and for the painting, and for the, and for the rec department for playground equipment.
If you don't use the whole 30,000 out of that account, does it still sit there?
Yes.
No. Yes, it sits in that, yes, it sits in that account.
Basically, at that
Until
point,
we vote to move it out.
Reserve account.
And then we,
we need to do kind of like a cleanup, you know,
Which we've
accounting,
done.
just, and, you know, and that goes back to the town, but part of something to just kind of clean that up and, maybe along with some other accounts.
we carried,
That left,
no,
'cause you didn't use it all.
we
It's still in
carried,
that
we
account.
carried $216 for pointing at the brick town hall for 10 years. Had its own separate account. Waste of time, waste of effort, waste of paper, waste of computer space. So last year, we asked the people to transfer the $216,000 out and put it into the brick town hall somewhere else, into another account we have, so we can get rid of that account. When these accounts are used up and washed out, once Vinnie buys his SCBA equipment, the account goes away. If he doesn't spend it all, the people vote to wipe out the account and transfer the money back.
but I still understand when you talk about the other account. You just said it's capital project reserve is capital project reserve. So you're gonna set up another account called the SCBA account, and you're taking the money out of the capital project.
Maybe we should
Retitle the account.
maybe it should be called, if the so my question is, if the SCBA was at the beginning and not the end, if it said we're gonna transfer it to the SCBA capital project reserve account, would that make more sense?
I would think if you had transferred 30,000 from the capital project reserve account to purchase the SCBA equipment for fire and rescue.
To purchase? But what do we do with the money?
It would have to have
What's that?
an account. The point of the capital project accounts is to,
Pays in capital project, when he submits a bill, you take the $30,000 out of the capital project reserve account. You don't take it from capital project reserve.
Well, everybody's
transfer
talking
to
about,
another.
transparency. We can't just lump all that money together, leave it and say, oh, by the way, 2 years ago, we voted to spend 30,000, and we think it was 30,000 more. If this transaction is done in our software, when the minute it happens, it's not that hard, shouldn't be that difficult.
Well, again, it's the way you're asking it to go from capital project reserve account to the capital project reserve account for.
Yes.
You're leaving, it's in the capital project reserve account, and when you pay the bill,
that's
she's
the
gonna pay it out.
confusing part, and it makes sense.
She's gonna
Can
pay
I
it
say
out of the,
that?
sorry.
It's okay. It makes sense that it's confusing. I see what you're saying, from the capital project reserve to the capital project reserve, except that the to account is actually called capital project reserve for SCBA. That's the name of it, not to be spent for, as in that's the title of the account. So there are two accounts in this particular article, one called the capital project reserve, one called the capital project reserve for SCBA.
So that's gonna go under, like I said.
I don't know how they're doing it in the accounting process, but that's the two separate accounts.
How they doing it?
It was listed the same last year, except it came from unassigned.
Already.
In last year's, it says, shall the town vote to transfer $30,000 for the unassigned fund balance to the capital project reserve account for SCBA devices for the fire department?
Right, from the unassigned to the capital project reserve. You're going capital project reserve, capital project.
There's a capital project account for it already. If you get the list from Julie, there are capital project accounts. There is one called SCBA. It has $30,000 already in it.
And there's one called capital project reserve where, like we said previously, that's what I'm saying. I understand why it's confusing. More questions on this one?
There's 5 more in here, just like it.
There we go. When the articles are written and it's a new account, we always said establish. That was the cue for the treasurer to set up a new account for that new purpose.
Yep.
Otherwise, it was transferring it from one to the other. I started writing them for Hollandville, and I put in, right in the article, the number of the account. And I was criticized for that, but it addresses what we're listening to tonight. Okay, and I agree, there's not, I don't think there's 20 capital projects going on right now.
No.
So I don't think it's that bad to manage. And the other thing is, there is an article that was written that said after 3 years, if nothing moves in a capital account, there's no activity, it goes back to the main account, okay? And the treasurer has the power to move it unless the project manager of that project already has submitted something like we did for this $200 that you'll see later in the warrant. Thank you.
Stephen Klein, we're beating around some of the other stuff that should be at the selectmen's meeting, but basically, this article is to add 30,000 into the 30,000 that was put in there before.
Yes.
Okay, in simple layman's terms. And in layman's terms, SCBA, for the people that don't know, those are the breathing tanks that we use at a fire, okay, which is critical to what we're doing. They have a lifespan, and usually we'd buy some every few years, okay? So what could have happened, as we discussed last year at the Budget Committee, is could come in here next year and say, I need 150,000, all right? But they thought it'd be very easy, we'll put 30,000 a year in, and then we'll be up to that 150 that it's gonna cost to do this, but not all at once. So I think a lot of confusion, the people at home, the voters ought to understand, those are the air packs you see on the back of the fire guys, and when we're at a fire, anywhere where there's smoke, anything else, you have to wear them, okay? So it's a simple thing, it's nothing new, not invented the wheel. You know, we had 30,000 already in there, we were asking for another 30, and I think the confusion on all this stuff is, it's another account, another account, another account. And
This is an account that already exists. I think like Gail said, when there's a new
It's-
account, we do
it's
say
already- It's already out there.
established.
Probably,
Yes.
probably it should have been said, add 30 to the existing account, okay? Because we're hopeful to get up to 150 at some point. And by the time we get up there, it's probably gonna be 160 or 70.
Yeah.
All right, but little at a time.
You aren't happy. Any more on Article 17? 17. That's what I said. Did I say 16? 17. Article 18, shall the town vote to transfer $40,000 from the capital project reserve account to the capital project reserve account for paving of town-owned properties and rename this account to paving and utility improvements of the municipal building? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend a yes. Steve?
Steve, I'm playing again. All right. Half an hour ago, it was said, we're gonna pave out here. The gesture was made out here, okay? And I spoke at the selectmen's meeting about this. Why don't we say the paving of this building, this parking lot?
We changed the name of it to paving and utility improvements
Of the
of the municipal building.
Municipal building,
That's here, this is the municipal building.
not the town-owned properties.
Correct.
No, we,
Did you read it?
we changed it because, so it would be specific to this building.
Yep.
Yes.
Utilities will include power.
Whatever it might
We
require.
changed, we added utilities because there was some concern about, in part of this process, we may run a water line to the vault.
Right.
So we didn't want to,
Just say paving and
we didn't want
have
to say
more.
paving so that you could come up in a year and say, you spent $700 on a pipe that you had no right doing. So that's why we put utilities and paving.
It's gonna be for this building paving.
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
separate account- No, I know, that's what I'm saying. You were talking about at the selectmen's meeting to make sure everything was covered for the utilities, which could be more power going underneath, so that in 2 or 3 or 4 years, we don't have to dig it back up. And we may want to line out to the garden out there too.
When it comes time to do the work, as long as it's paving and a utility improvement, we can justify spending the money.
More comments on Article 18? Howard?
You say you're gonna need 40,000, have you got bids?
No. Yeah, yes, we have an estimate. We have an estimate.
One estimate.
We got one estimate.
We'll
We have
definitely
two.
get more when the time
We will go
comes.
to bid when we do the project. It will go out to bid.
This, this kind of stuff like this, if it was more spelled out a little bit better, it'd be more palatable to the taxpayers. Because this is what utilities? Are you gonna put a gas line out there? Are you gonna put, what are you gonna do out there? You know,
Well,
I'm just saying,
the
it's-
idea is, the thought behind it was, we may put a water line to the vault. So that's why we put utility. We haven't talked about putting gas lines. We haven't talked about running power lines anywhere else. That's
But
what
you
we,
came up with something to come up with $40,000. You spec'd out something.
We
already
had 40. We have 40 in the
because we have
budget.
40 there already.
I know, but no, you're missing it. How did you get that, how did the person know what to bid to get to that 40,000?
They didn't bid. We got a good faith estimate on how much it was gonna cost to pave the parking lot.
Next time, get a hardcore bid.
And do what, for 3 years from now? They're not gonna hold it for 3 years. That's foolish statement. It's a foolish statement. You know it as good as I do, that bid today is not gonna hold up 3 years from now.
That can be revised. If they vote it down now, that bid can be revised in 3 years when they go ahead and do it.
So we go to bid now for something we're gonna do 3 years from now, and then vote to revise it if the number changes? The price of that pavement could be twice what it's gonna cost today, 3 years from now.
Get a proper bid in a short period of time.
I can only hope that in 6 weeks, you're sitting here and you go ask somebody for a bid for 3 years from now, and see how it holds up. And you can look over all the bills at the same time, right? You better pack a lunch.
I think
That article, because this is bullshit.
is that as we build up this capital project account, when we do go out for bid, we could have enough to cover it and then be able to pave the parking lot. More comments on Article 18? Article 19, shall the town vote to transfer $15,000 from code fees for a CEO constable vehicle? The Select Board recommends yes, the Budget Committee recommended no. Comments on this article? Article 20, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $122,726 for debt services for the ensuing year for the fire station payment? Select Board and Budget Committee both recommend a yes vote. Comments on this article? Steve? Okay, you were a little slow on that one, Steve. I'm just kidding. Did I miss your hand? I'm sorry.
Anyway, can we have an explanation by the Budget Committee?
No vote? Oh, he did talk about it when he read the letter originally, but absolutely. Well, okay, refresh your memory.
Short-term memory
Okay.
loss.
I'll remember that.
So the Budget Committee's recommendation, I'll reread it. The Budget Committee recommended a no vote. The article is to use CEO fees to purchase the existing CEO personal use truck. The Budget Committee believes that the type of purchase should be a capital project, and you want to be careful how you name that.
Clearly.
Disclose all costs related to the purchase, not just the purchase price. Budget Committee believes it's best when municipal officials commit and examine the decisions they're making, consider the full impact. Basically, take it from the capital project.
So you're not saying that it's a no for this particular purchase, just where the money's coming from?
We don't need the vehicle because
Right.
it's clear that he uses one and it's necessary, but just that it's not tied necessarily to the fees in that office, but the municipality itself.
Yep.
Okay.
Any more on Article 19 before we go back to Article 20? All right. Well, we didn't give anyone a chance to say if they had comments on Article 20. But I will move to 21. Do you favor the following currently elected positions? Treasurer, town clerk, tax collector, and road commissioner to be appointed rather than elected in the future? And this is just a question, not a change, is that right? Cheryl?
Memory's not too long, but this seems to pop up every time we have an election. We voted it down several times. We seem to be happy electing the treasurer, town clerk, tax collector, and road commissioner, and I really think that it's getting a little boring to keep adding this article until they think it might pass.
Other comments? Article 22, shall the town vote to establish a capital project reserve account in Fund 3, Bricktown Hall revitalization, and transfer $245 from the Town Hall repointing account 533-00 to new reserve account. Note the capital project account 533-00 has been completed. Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend a yes vote. Comments on this? Cheryl?
What does it mean?
I think it's just the same question. We're transferring funds, just that the accounts that they're being moved from is noted in the actual question. So
$45.
$245. It remains an account currently that has, that the project for that account has been completed. And so the hope is to transfer it to a new account to be used on other projects
Okay.
that it's noted for in this
Is
article.
that tied to the Article 23?
It looks like,
Same account?
oh,
That $245 going into the capital reserve, wait a minute, let's back up here. Capital project reserve account.
it looks like, yeah.
They want to put it in that one, which is the same as 23, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
that's what is it not?
No.
No, they're different.
One is,
So 23,
Anybody else want 22? I'll get out of the way.
well, 23 is specific to a second egress for the Bricktown Hall. 22, that $245 will go into an account that is already there for revitalization, for other work to be done at the Bricktown Hall. But
How many accounts does the Bricktown Hall have?
I think I think one. Well, no, it's got the brick one, it's got the $245 one.
currently.
Was that for repointing?
That was for repointing decades ago.
There's money left over.
It's at $240 just sitting.
That is repointing,
Repointing the bricks. They did it
oh,
years ago.
cleaning them. Okay.
No, putting new cement in each joint.
Excuse me.
So you want to take the 245 and use it to go towards a new egress, that's what you're saying?
No,
No,
No?
no, the 30,000 is going towards the, 23 is specific $30,000 towards the egress. Okay, that's a separate account. If we went to that egress and that cost us $30,245, I think we could justify using the $240 for the egress because that would be considered revitalization of the town hall.
so it's a
So-
revitalization. It is a separate account.
The 30,000 is a new separate account for one specific surface, purpose.
23 is 30,000 for a new egress. For a building that we can't use, we can't have top capacity, we rent out, but we don't rent out, and the costs are getting more expensive.
And with some of these upgrades, I mean, the hope is to be able to use it again. But some of this stuff is, I think, necessary to increase the capacity for people to be in that building safely.
Have we ever got anything from the DOJ saying that it had been passed, that
We
we
were just
can?
looking for
Or do
that.
we just pour money into it?
We'll be, I know that we have
So-
information on that for the
Yeah.
meeting later.
This particular piece is a recommendation, a requirement of the fire marshal's office
For the egress.
for the second egress, so that the fire marshal can say we can keep more than 49 people in the first floor.
Have you guys decided what the egress is gonna be? Is it
We-
going out the window, is it going up the side of the building, or?
That'll be for debate once it comes up, because there's been a lot of,
That's all it's gonna cost us, is the 30,000, it'll put that egress in
not,
and we're
no,
ready.
we have no idea. That if the people decide they want a glass-plated elevator coming out of there and it's $3 million, this 30,000 is gonna start us to get that process going. If they wanna put a door where the window is and the deck, and it costs us $18,000, we can get in and out of there for this and put this money back when it's done. This is to start the process and start the discussions, because there's a lot of opinions on where that second egress should be.
Right, okay.
Some of these articles of putting into special accounts for the future, that's so that when,
Bricktown Hall special account
Or-
or capital?
or any of them,
Project.
in general, those accounts are set up so that, you know, a couple of years down the road, we don't have to raise and appropriate a lot of extra money.
It's just been a long haul. I mean, money's going in, and we still get nothing out of it.
Can I ask what happened to the handicap revitalization account? Do we still have that, or is that?
Well, that's this, that I believe is the revitalization account that's in 22. Revitalization.
Right, because we had a handicap revitalization.
We had a handicap revitalization committee. I don't know that that's what the account was called. we'd have to look back, but I believe
We had a
this is.
few, because they were very close in names, and this is what I was talking about earlier, but I was just wondering if there's any money left in those accounts to either close those accounts, come into these accounts, or vice versa.
That's one of the things we're looking at, and the auditor is going to help us do is establish all this as of a certain point where we get it down to where it's supposed to be, and then moving forward, we can keep much better track of it.
So maybe we should fix things that we have in place right now and then add? Just saying. I know, everybody's in a hurry to get these done, but we're in a mess right now. We gotta dig ourselves out first.
All right, I'm going to read 23. We've talked about it. If there's more comments, we'll go over that. Shall the town vote to establish a capital project reserve account in Fund 3 called Bricktown Hall Second Egress, a corresponding expense account, and transfer up to $30,000 from capital project reserve account to the new reserve account? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend a yes vote. Comments on this one? All right, Article 24, shall the town vote to transfer $25,000 annually from the Rescue Billing Fund to the debt services for the fire station until the fire station loan has been paid in full? The Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend a yes vote. Howard?
I don't have any trouble with transferring the $25,000. The big problem I have is annually. This should be a separate article every year, because what you're doing, you're transferring, you're saying, I want to transfer this every year, right down the line. What happens if you don't, heaven forbid, but you don't have money in the rescue billing fund? That's got to be a separate article every year.
When the fire department was established, we did vote to do this one time with the intent of doing it on a yearly basis. But the vote did not talk about on a yearly basis. That's why we put it in, so it would just continue without a vote. The fire chief has gone out and done a study for a long period of time out, and feels that $25,000 out of that account on a yearly basis shouldn't hamper replacing the vehicles and what we need to do.
I understand that. But when you say the transfer annually, you're looking down the road where we're talking about this year's budget as well as next year's budget. That could be in there again, transfer $25,000. What's the problem?
The question was raised when a new board comes in, what if nobody remembers to do it? And that was the thought about doing it. That's been brought up several times where boards change and it gets left off the table next year when it should have, in the first time, said annually until the loan is paid off. And this is correcting that.
Wasn't that included in the original town vote? We
But it was only one,
appropriated-
it was only for one time.
It wasn't,
That's why we put it in here this year. I don't believe it did. That's why we put this
Okay.
back.
More comments on Article 24? Steve?
Steve McLean, well, 99% sure it'll always be available. That's the money we collect from the calls and stuff like that. If this by chance fails, which I don't think it will, people understand what it is, but we just have to add the word "if available." That's all. I mean, to answer what Howard's saying, if it wasn't there, if we had something catastrophic, the ambulance goes down, the new ambulance is $300,000-$400,000 now, so we can wipe out that money pretty fast, but whatever. I think people will be fine with it. Probably we should have said if available. And if not, we deal with it some other way.
Article 25, shall the town vote to transfer $38,000 from the capital project reserve account to the capital project reserve account for playground equipment and create a capital project playground reserve account and transfer $38,000 into this account to expand the playground and add a picnic pavilion at the ball field. That was a mouthful. I think the idea is establish and transfer. Comments on Article 25? Article 26, shall the town vote to transfer up to $7,500 from the capital project reserve account to use for a professional study of the old fire station at 24 School Street? Select Board recommended yes. The Budget Committee recommended yes. Cheryl?
Why the study?
There's need of
What are you gonna study it for? What are you gonna, or that it's,
an engineering study to know, even to know whether we need to just tear it down and start over, or, we need answers from people that know what's going on, rather than, five of us going down there and taking a look and trying to
what are the
figure out.
plans for it?
Determine that.
So whether you're gonna sell it, you're gonna build it, you're gonna tear it down, you're gonna reuse it, that's a little high, isn't it?
Knowing what it needs will help us decide what to do with it, and again, that's something that the building committee is looking at,
Yeah.
Notice the
or
article says,
will be looking at.
the article says up to $7,500, so we won't spend,
And at the
More
time
than
that the
what's
committee was doing it, the Grange Hall sounded as if it needed a major overhaul also. That's not.
that was
included.
voted on previously. I think we had a special town meeting for some stuff to do with the Grange Hall.
Has that been updated?
I don't have it updated,
Has what been updated?
the Grange Hall.
As far as what?
She just said we voted on some money for it to fix it.
If,
We're putting, we voted for money to put mini split, like heating air conditioning system in it.
They in?
No,
They haven't been, okay.
they haven't been put in yet, no.
That's an account, project account someplace, the money that we,
No, That,
Voted on?
so the last time we had a special town meeting, that came out of the opera money for energy efficient upgrades. And part of that will be for that building.
because it seems that we vote on doing things and things just don't get done. It's just,
It was only a month ago.
whatever.
in the capital accounts, we expect to take some time. That's why they're capital, because we keep adding to them to be able to afford Howard. And
Not at the Grange Hall.
No, fire department,
To do a study?
yeah,
Yeah, it was like $500.
at the old town, fire department. Do a study on that. I know you were talking about it in one meeting.
We've never, not that I know of we've ever done one.
I thought you hired a consulting firm.
We have not hired anybody that I know of.
I'm going to apologize to Brady Connors. He told me that I should bring forward on the website the Building Advisory Committee plans that they presented to you. And it's 3 levels down, and I haven't done that. Would you like me to do that? Put it on the landing page? Because there is a committee. There's been 2 years, different makeups of those committees, and there were definite recommendations. They're just recommendations we advised this board. But I'll bring it forward right onto the landing page. Do you want it on the landing page, ladies and gentlemen? Because there are plans, there are recommendations, there has been many talks about it. This committee went to the stakeholders of every building that we were charged with and talked with the people who use it, what they thought. And we took all of that under advisement, okay, and made a recommendation. And we'll make a different one if it changes, if we go back and do that over again. But this board put in place a committee to do that. We did our due diligence. We made those recommendations. We presented them to the budget committee. And nobody watches the budget committees, okay? Maybe 5 or 6 people. So, and we know that, you know, on YouTube. So a lot of this that you're questioning, this board works at, okay? So I'll bring forth those recommendations. They'll be on the landing page this week. Thank you.
Thank you. More comments on Article 26? Just wait. We'll just wait for that. Article 27, shall the town vote to raise and appropriate $10,000 for the repair and maintenance of the dry hydrants for the fire department? Select Board and Budget Committee recommend yes. Comments on this one?
And Dennis Crowley, it's actually more of a question for a clarification of a dry hydrant versus the hydrants provided by the water department. What are these, just so we know what we're talking about?
So dry hydrants are a means of drafting water into a fire engine from a static water source. So the only pressure on that is atmospheric pressure pushing down. Pressurized hydrants in town are pressurized by gravity from the holding tanks up on, this one right here in Washington, and the other one's up on behind Dean LePage's house. So those are pressurized by gravity. Static sources, we've got to pull that water into our trucks. What's that?
Do you know how many there are in Limerick?
6 or 7, yeah, and they're PVC pipe. The sun beats them up, they get brittle, and if you get any kind of air leak, you can't draft water into the truck. So they're aging and need to be attended to. So they're part of our water supply. It helps with our ISO rating, and insurance companies continually are calling me or emailing me looking for, you know, there's a lot of houses going up in Limerick, and they want to know where's the closest water supply is, and having those usable and available is key. I mean, we can always put our suction hose directly into the water, but sometimes that's, you know, this time of year, there's a lot of ice to chainsaw through to get to that water. If we have a PVC pipe that gives us access, and just a simpler way of getting the water into the truck. So.
John, to answer your question, we don't have enough, right? We've worked for years trying to put more and more in all the time. Dennis, your answer is the dry hydrants, what you see like out on Route 11 Elm Street, that white pipe going down. So basically they're dry until we hook up and you suck the water up through them. There's numerous places. We're certainly trying to put one up there by Libby's, you pick it. So what it means is if we're at a place where there's a water source or a pond that we can draft out of that versus coming all the way down from Libby's down here to the fire hydrant, filling a fire truck up, driving all the way back up. So, but I think next year, I hope people vote for this, but next year we ought to put it under town properties, okay? That are, fire department is the town now, and dry hydrants, and one less article we need every year, okay? It should be part of that for the maintenance of, because what happens is in the winter, they're using PVC pipe and it cracks. Right, numerous times in the spring, every town will go out and you'll see a trash bag over one of those. The reason it is because it didn't work. The ice and everything else gets to it. So the maintenance is a very good thing. You know, you don't want to pull up to one of those, try to use it, and then decide we got to go 5 miles the other way because it doesn't work. So,
Thank you. Article 28, shall the town vote to appropriate funds from the town's cable franchise fees and expend these funds for the town's share of the Saco River Community Television Regional Public Access Facility equipment and related costs of $33,606, with said amount expended not to exceed the amount the town receives from the cable company's franchise fees. The Select Board and the Budget Committee both recommend a yes vote. Comments on this article or questions? Article 29, shall the town vote to transfer $54,000 from the unassigned fund balance account to the town roads paving account for paving of town roads? Note, this will be to complete Rangy Road in 2025. The Select Board and the Budget Committee recommend a yes vote. Comments on this or questions? Oh, Steve, stop hiding in the corner there.
right, it's just, the explanation is, I mean, Scott could get up here if he wants to, is that they didn't finish the road, so that $54,000 will be used solely on that road next year. All right, we did the same thing 3 years ago when they couldn't pave. We saved that money to be paved, which they did. So we're not adding to the paving at all. We're using the money that wasn't used to be finished up on that road, just so people know what that is.
Thank you. If all the articles are passed as the Select Board recommended, Limerick is within the LD1 tax levy limit for 2025, as it also was for 2010 to 2024. The following article is proposed as insurance in case the state does not fully fund its obligation to the town or the unforeseen expenditure becomes necessary in the upcoming year. Article 30, shall the town vote to increase the property tax levy established for the town of Limerick by the provisions 30-A MRSA subsection 5721-A in the event that the municipal budget approved under the preceding articles will result in a tax commitment that is greater than the property tax limit. Sure. How high?
How high could you be?
I don't.
We would only, so we won't set tax commitment until much later in the year. So if we had some unforeseen catastrophe that we have to fund, this allows us to do that when we set the tax commitment. But it can't be just for no reason, there has to be a.
It just says increase property tax levy, it doesn't say to a certain point, it just says increase it. The sky the limit?
No, it says, and it's clear that it's for unforeseen expenditures, or if the state says, we're not gonna send you all the money we say we're gonna spend you. We send. Yes.
I think that does it.
Declare an end to the meeting. And thank you all.
Do we take a short break?
break and then come back for the regular select. Good evening and welcome to the February 3rd, 2025 Limerick Board of Select Persons meeting. So please join us. Well, I will mention we are a little bit late tonight because we had a couple of public hearings to attend to, so we're going now. So let's join us for the flag salute. Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve the January 27th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Okay, and I will look for a motion to accept the warrants.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Would someone read the announcements, please?
Planning Board will meet on Wednesday, February 5th at 7 p.m. The Select Board will meet on Monday, February 10th at 7 p.m. Candidates Night will be on Tuesday, February 11th at 7 p.m. And the sand salt mixture is available for Limerick residents in the back parking lot of the Bricktown Hall. The Appeals Board has 3 vacant seats to fill. Please reach out to the Selectman admin if interested in 793-4475. And as a reminder, if you are speaking at a meeting, please go to the microphone so everyone will be able to hear. And as part of the hearing of citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual or firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public, will be tolerated during any meetings. Please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. Please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org.
Okay, thank you.
Can you do the public notice for Ricky, please? He was supposed to start at the beginning of our last meeting.
Yes, that's what I've got on here. We're going to fill that in under department reports, but we're going to start with Department Rick Richardson.
I just want to follow up on a permit by rule that I applied for, and I had to give out a notice required by the DEP for a stabilization project we'll be doing on Cottage Road, number 98, Pickle Pond. The DEP wants us to notify the public and any of the abutting landowners with letters that we already submitted and a notice we put in the shopper's guide with my phone number and name. So if there's any questions or comments, again, like I said, be more than happy to answer them. And my phone number is, like I said, it's in the notice in the shopper's guide, and it's also 207-432-6579 if anybody's got any questions or concerns.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have Joanne Andrews.
I'll be brief also. I just wanted to report that the household waste compactor is working wonderful. We took 2 weeks to get people acclimated to it. First week we handed out almost 300 flyers telling people what was going to happen. The next week we stopped everybody that came in to make sure that they knew where the compactor was, and it worked out well. Still working with the traffic pattern, but I think it's going to be fine even as we get busier. We have revenues this year of $67,440.81. We also took in $1,340.27 in bottle money. And we're going to have little balance left when the project is done. The $80,000 was for the compactor. The balance right now is, let's see, 25,000. 10,400 was the money that we just paid the electrician, so we got a balance of $14,600. So there's enough to buy the second octagon container that hooks to the compactor, and we'll still have money left over. So I'm glad that that came out that way. We just sold metal at $125 a ton. We got $3,231.87 coming from Grimo for that load of metal. That's our first for the year. We sometimes have 4 loads come in a year. And I've got something for you people.
Thank you.
This is my database for tonnages from 2003 to 2024. And in going over it, I was shocked to see that in 2003, we sent 1,432.40 tons of household waste. At the time, it went to Merck. This year, we sent 1,484.52 tons to EcoMaine. Now, why did that happen? Because everything else that was going to household waste is now being recycled. And a big part of that is the Take It shop, believe it or not. That I can probably pretty close to figure out how many tons that saves the town a year. But that Take It shop is the busiest place in town. And these figures prove that. Also, the COVID years, 2021 through 2023, the tonnages were over 1,500 tons. And now we're just at 1,400 some tons. So those COVID years, we produced a lot more household trash, and that's because people stayed home a lot. I thought that was interesting. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next, for old business, I would look for a motion to defer old business until our next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion before we vote? Okay, all in favor? Okay, under new business, we do have some notice of proceeds to sign. We have 3 of those. I would suggest I would look for a motion to approve signing the notice of proceeds.
I make a motion that we sign the notice of proceeds tonight.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, and then I will also look for a motion to defer the rest of new business until our next meeting.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'm just curious, we had on there
Oh, yeah.
discussion of deputy, discussion deputy treasurer, is that something that we talked about that last week, basically, that we brought Laura back in, so is that all that was, or is there something new for that?
So that's kind of me. So I wanted, we need to, about our payroll.
Hold on, we either need to have correct. So we've got no second on your motion to defer. So I think,
So there's no second, so let's just go back to the items on there. Was there any more discussion about the deputy treasurer?
we need to put her on payroll for her time that she's working.
Well, I was
Oh, I'm sorry,
going somewhere else with
go ahead.
So we have a message from our payroll company
Yes.
that we need to give our treasurer filling in permission to allow them to do the scope of work that we signed the contract with. So either someone from the board can reach out that these things can be handled because they haven't been given all the information to ensure that everything is happening as was supposed to per the contract.
So I make a motion that we authorize the current deputy treasurer to reach out to the payroll service company and initiate whatever needs to be done so that their entire scope of work is being completed that we are paying for.
Second.
Sounds good. All in favor? Okay, let's do that.
know if you want to direct that other part.
We need to, I make a motion that we compensate the current deputy treasurer at a rate of $40 per hour.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay, any more on the deputy treasurer? Well then, next item is to authorize proposed motion for fire chief and CEO.
I move that the Select Board authorize the Fire Chief and Code Enforcement Officer pursuant to 25 MRS Section 2361 to file a civil action in the name of the Town of Limerick to enforce violations of the 2018 edition of NFPA 101, the Life Safety Code, at a property located at 76 Johnson Road, map 32, lot 27.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second now.
So this is a violation that's been issued. I know Vinnie and Stanley, my understanding is they had until January 31st to comply, and I'm guessing they're asking for this now. Did Stan give you this today? He has you put it on for tonight, all right. So this is dated back January 15th. So I'm assuming they didn't,
I think there was a deadline.
they didn't make their deadline?
I believe so, I'm not one to
So
speak
this will
out of
only
turn.
happen if they haven't reached the deadline of their corrective action plan. But this allows the fire chief and the code enforcement officer to pursue a civil action to get the correction made, if needed. Perhaps they've met their obligation or not, we don't know, but this will do that.
Okay, was that a motion made?
I made the motion, yeah.
Okay, was there a second?
Wade seconded it.
Okay, all in favor? Makes sense? Okay, then we'll move on to hearing of citizens.
Can I know that we voted to move on past old business, but during the public hearing, we said that at the meeting tonight, on the agenda was discussion of the Bricktown Hall accessibility, the DOJ, that part. Can we touch base on that?
So,
You may, sorry,
good.
you may want to table it and take, so I did provide you guys with the DOJ's response, so it might be worthwhile to at least look at the accessibility policy now and the response that we did get that covered us or cleared us, but then have more of a discussion next week.
I think part of the discussion was whether we're going to change and add fees, was something we discussed.
Yeah.
Are we gonna add fees to people that use the Bricktown Hall? Because there's been some concern that we have expenses up there and people are using the building for free. But they are using the building, it seems they're there every weekend. There's a lot of use.
I think it's, I mean, I understand, I'm not a taxpayer, I think it's a nice perk as a taxpayer in the town to have the building to use, but I understand I mean, essentially, everybody's paying a share of that building use, but I get more appreciation for having it as an affordable, something that they can use for all aspects.
The second piece was the DOJ report.
Yes.
I think we table that till next week. We just have to see, I'm not sure if the proper signage has been put up for the van accessibility parking that they required on the far right side, so gotta take a ride up and look at that. They requested a certain sign, and I can't recall if that's been put in or not.
We don't approve non-residents at this point. We haven't been approving any non-residents. We've limited to Limerick residents since at least for this last year that I've been in this chair, so. Okay, well, with that, we'll open for a hearing of citizens. Okay, see Cheryl first.
Still waiting for the January 21st meeting to be posted on the website. Is there any word on that?
On the website?
It had on the videos, January 21st. Has,
Is it on YouTube, are you saying, Cheryl?
right, it's not on YouTube. Nope. Because I keep checking for it. The 27th was messed up, but that come back on very little static the second time. But the 21st has not.
But it was on TV.
Oh, I don't know. I watch it online.
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah.
What about the black screen? 1 week it was just a black screen.
1 week we had no video. They did that one. One of them was, yeah, nothing. And then it was staticky. Yeah. Yeah, okay, all right.
I'll check.
Okay, thank you. And, sidewalks. I noticed that the storm before this one here, that there was a little bit of messy. And the bridges, they supposed to be shoveled or plowed or hand shoveled or whatever on the town, because there's a buildup on the bridges with the snow too. So, just a couple comments.
Which bridges? Like,
No, Range Road and the one up on Quarry, Lombard.
regular
You know,
travel
yeah, the
bridges,
regular,
yeah.
if they get built up, you know how the snow when you
Built to the
plow,
side, yeah, narrows.
they're supposed to be being cleared. But, okay, that's it, thank you.
Anyone else?
I have something. So, and I just checked with the fire chief too, just to, so there is a generator that was donated to the town from Kennybunk about 5 years ago. Their town of Cornish is looking to get the generator, which fire chief knows, yes, is for it. I think there was an email that was sent that I think maybe in the transitioning of our emails, I've asked fire chief to resend it so then we can put it on the agenda for select board approval.
Donate?
To donate to the town of Cornish.
Okay, well then, you know what motion I'm looking for next.
Well, we gotta check, I think we need, I think we need voter approval to dispose of town equipment.
Oh, okay.
I may have to wait till June.
Okay. So we can at least, I just asked for the email for the fire chief to resend the email at least, and then we can at least proceed from there.
So we'll have more.
Even if it was a donated item? Because it wasn't a cost. Well, the cost, I guess, to run it.
If it becomes, if we're donated, now we own it, we have to, I think we have to get voter approval to, like we did the fire truck.
Okay.
We also gotta decide, I don't know where we go with this, but, do we continue, I don't know, we have to get legal advice, do we continue to pay the treasurer while she's out?
I think that's a question we have to ask MMA, right? It's technically, she's on a leave of absence. Do we have disability? We don't have a disability.
We don't have disability policy.
And I know she's
We do-
salaried, but You have
through the
disability?
town.
Oh. Short-term or long-term? Is it short-term disability or long-term? Do you, short-term? Huh. Okay. Maybe we have that. We gotta look into it.
And you have to choose to sign up for that, right? That's an option that you get taken out of your paycheck.
And if she's eligible,
So if, well, we gotta see if she signed up for it.
if she's eligible, if she signed up,
So
and then
we-
what we do next.
Can you call into MMA and find out if she signed up for it?
And then I think that depending on, I mean, where we go with that, she's either paid by disability or if she's on a leave of absence, and I think legally, that's not a paid leave, unfortunately, but,
I wouldn't think it would be.
yes.
Yes.
Even when I was salary working for an insurance company, if I was to go out on leave, I was either, if I took sick time, I was paid sick time. If I took vacation time, I was paid vacation time. And then if I was out on a leave, whatever my short-term or long-term disability was what I was paid. They stopped paying me at that point. I would have to look at the personnel policy here for salaried employees.
It's hard because
They're elected.
she's salaried.
Yeah.
She's elected, so she's considered an employee, but she's elected, so that makes it another tricky situation.
I think you'll have some.
And she doesn't,
Yeah, MMA will be our best tool
she
on
doesn't
that.
accrue sick time.
Right, right. Well,
So-
and that, just a general statement, I think what I was going over, not that, yes, no, I know as a,
Let's check with
Elected,
MMA and
she's-
see if that's she's covered.
figure out what we do.
Well,
Depends which way the wind's blowing.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? Okay. Thank you, everyone. These are the ones.